Okay, so if you guys are here today, that probably means that you dream of becoming a licensed physical therapist in the US, or maybe you're a physical therapist who wants to enhance their clinical skills and become a more competent physical therapist. Whatever it may be, we are here to help you answer exactly those questions. A couple of years ago, I was in the exact same boat as you. Coming from a very academically inclined background, I wanted to learn more and continue learning, and I wanted to gain that experience of having worked in a foreign country. And that is what led me to pursue my higher education here in the United States. And I can tell you without a shred of doubt, that was definitely one of the best decisions I've ever made, because it was not just the education and the knowledge that I gained, but the other opportunities that came along the way and the networks that I built as a student all of that has definitely played a huge role in me being here today and talking in front of all of you. Again, so once I was done with my education, the journey didn't end there. That was not the final destination. I wanted to work, and in order to be able to work in the US, you have to get licensed. In order to get licensed, you have to work on your eligibility criteria and all of that, which is a completely different ball game altogether. And I think our CIO, Ravneet Singh, did a commendable job presenting on those topics in the previous webinar. What we are going to touch on today is how can you pursue your further education, your higher education in physical therapy in the US, irrespective of your age, your experience, your expertise, your degree, everything. We are here to help you, and we are here to help answer all of your questions. We'll be touching on a couple of topics, but what I want you to know as I speak is that think about your situation, think about what your goals in life are. We are going to talk about a lot of things that most of the students do as they embark upon this journey, but you have to consider what your situation is, what your financial situation is, what your goals are, and then make an informed decision accordingly. Before we begin, I would like to let you know that we are, like Amreen mentioned, we are being supported by a very strong chat team. We have consultants and chat specialists who will be helping us out. So I'm pretty sure you all have a ton of questions. And if you want any of those answered, please feel free to type them in the chat, and then they will send it over to me and I can address them at the end of the webinar. So just hang in there. Okay, so the very first question that all of us have when we think about pursuing a higher education abroad, especially in a country like the United States, is that where should I start? Which program should I enroll into? And that's the secret answer that I'm going to give you. The secret to answering that question is begin with the end goal in mind. So for example, you have a master's program available, you have a doctorate program available, you have a PhD program available. Think about where that is going to lead you. So if you plan to become a clinician, okay, so in those cases, the program that you should pick for would probably be a residency program or a transitional DPT program. Think about where you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years. If you see yourself as a clinician doing evaluations, re-evaluations, working in the clinic for almost 40 hours a week and having that one-on-one patient interaction, then doing the transitional DPT is the best route for you to go. If, say, for example, you see yourself as an academician or a researcher, somebody who's interested in teaching students, in that case, maybe investing your time and energy into a PhD program or a Master's of Science program would probably be a smarter choice. Say, for example, you want to do something related to the healthcare profession, but maybe you don't want the one-on-one clinical interaction and you're not really that interested in teaching as well. You still have other options, such as pursuing an MBA, MPH, or MHA. So, like I mentioned, think about what your end goal is. Why are you pursuing this higher education? What do you want to do? Where do you want to be in the future? That is what is going to help you make an informed decision. And the best part about studying in the US is that you have a ton of opportunities and you have a ton of options. Whatever it is that you are looking for, you'll probably be able to find the best fit, something that you really want. When we talk about investment, it's not just the time that we're investing, it's also the money aspect of it that we're talking about. And what most of us don't realize is we just look at what the program costs and then we make our decisions. Something that you also need to consider is the other additional costs that you might have to think about. So for example, if you choose to do a program which is located in New York or California, you got to realize that the standard of living is really expensive there. So you're probably going to shell out more money for all the other additional expenses, even if your program that you have chosen is not as expensive. So it's very important to consider not just the program and what you're interested in, but also see which are the various states and which are the various universities in the different states that offer that program, and then look at the standard of living, the other expenses such as housing, food, transport, and all of the other things that can make a huge impact. Another major question that students usually have is, fine, I'm going to take a loan or I'm going to finance my own education and I am going to pursue that degree no matter what. But will I get a job after I graduate? How much money am I going to make? How much time is it going to take for me to make up for all the money that I have spent on my education? And here, this slide has all of those answers for you. Physical therapist employment in the United States is expected to grow by 36%, which is a pretty encouraging number. The average salary of a physical therapist in the US is about $85,000 per year. As you can see over here, majority of the people, about 50% of the physical therapists usually make a salary in that particular range. Another big question that most of the students have is, what is the difference between a transitional DPT versus a master's program? And this slide basically helps answer all of those questions. The first thing is, when we talk about transitional DPT, DPT is not diploma in physical therapy. It's actually a doctorate in physical therapy degree. So it really carries a lot of weightage. A doctorate of physical therapy means that you have majored in physical therapy. As compared to that, when we talk about a master's degree, with a master's degree, you will usually end up majoring in different subjects such as kinesiology, exercise physiology, or rehabilitation sciences. Please know that unlike a lot of other countries, the United States does not have a master's of physical therapy program anymore. So you're going to major in another profession that is not, you're going to be majoring in another subject that is not physical therapy, but it is related to physical therapy. Talking about your TDPT curriculum, your TDPT program is usually more clinical in nature. You have more of labs and hands-on stuff where you can practice your PT skills on one another with your classmates and colleagues. With the TDPT program, you have on-site or hybrid options. Hybrid options means that half of your program is on-site and half of it is online. So you get that clinical experience and the clinical exposure and an opportunity to practice everything that you have learned when you pursue a TDPT program. Versus when we talk about a master's degree, it is more of didactic component, and it is usually research based. There are very few programs that offer a practical or a lab component. So if you know that you want to pursue that particular track, doing a master's is more advisable. With the transitional DPT program, you will gain a 1-year OPT. Now, for those of you who don't know what OPT means, OPT stands for Optional Practical Training. So with an OPT, you can work in the United States after graduating for up to a year without having a work visa. The advantage of doing a master's degree is because they're usually a part of the STEM program, you can extend your OPT to up to 3 years, which means that you can work in the US without a work visa for up to 3 years. The TDPT curriculum is more focused on the NPTE, which is your National Physical Therapy exam. This is the exam that all of us have to take before we can start working as licensed physical therapists in the US. And doing a TDPT program definitely trains you better to take that exam and clear that exam in the first go. Versus a master's degree, because it is more theoretical and more research oriented, there might be relatively fewer topics that may be relevant to your license exam. When we talk about the different TDPT programs, you have two options. One is an on-site option and the other one is an online option. Talking about the on-site or the hybrid option, and like I mentioned, hybrid option is part of it is on-site and part of it is online. You get a hands-on practical training. You are in the lab with your classmates, with your professor. It's just like how you probably learned in your own home country, practicing on one another and improving your skills. When you pursue the same program online, you definitely get to learn all of the theoretical knowledge that the on-site students gain, but there is no online training because everything is virtual. The students who pursue their degree online, that on-site, which is by being present in the United States, are eligible to get an F1 visa, which is basically a student visa, which allows you to enter the country. Versus if you're pursuing a program online, you could be sitting in any part of the world and studying, and you do not require an F1 visa. Students who pursue an on-campus degree usually get an OPT or a one-year-long CPT. Now, the difference between OPT and CPT, which stands for Curricular Practical Training, is that there are certain programs which allow you to work as a PT while you're a student. So to work while being a student, you can use CPT. Versus if you plan to work after you have graduated, then you will be working on an OPT. Versus if the degree is online, you don't get access to CPT or OPT. And last but not the least, something that all of us consider is that your on-site program is obviously going to be relatively a little bit more expensive because you have to consider your travel costs, your living expenses, your food expenses, your utilities. Versus if it's an online degree, it's relatively inexpensive because again, you could be sitting in any part of the world in your own home and gaining that exact education sitting on your couch. One of the most common questions that a lot of students ask me is it necessary to have a Doctor of Physical Therapy degree in order to practice in the United States? And the short answer is, as of today, no. We all know that there was a 2020 vision that stated that all the practicing physical therapists in the United States will have a doctorate degree. However, that did not come true. They have pushed this goal to 2022. This means that if you take your license exam before 2022, you should hopefully be okay, and it won't be compulsory for you to pursue a TDPT, again, depending on the state requirements, but that is just a recommendation. And FACS is committed to keeping the foreign trained community updated as more information is available. Another thing to be considered once you've decided which program you want to get into, once you've decided which school you're going to pick and where you're going to go, the next major step is collecting all the important documents. There are two types of documents. One is the mandatory ones, which usually most of the schools require, and there are some which are non-mandatory, which certain schools might not require you to have. So the first one, which is the most important, is English Language of Proficiency, for which you could either take TOEFL, which is Test of English as a Foreign Language, or you could take the International English Language Testing System. If you were to ask me that the college is giving you an option and you were to pick one, I would recommend that you pick TOEFL because a lot of state boards in the US require TOEFL scores. So if you've taken the other exam, you might have to take TOEFL again. So might as well just pick TOEFL over the other one. A lot of students ask if there is any cutoff score for TOEFL, and that really depends on the school that you're applying to. Different schools have different requirements. The reason they want you to take these exams is because the language of teaching is going to be English, and they want to make sure that you understand what is being taught in class and you're able to keep up with everything that is being taught. A second requirement that you may have to fulfill is taking the GRE. Not a lot of schools require you to take the GRE. However, if you're applying to an MBA, MPH kind of programs, then you will need to take a GRE. Again, the score requirements varies from school to school, so that is something you should check before you take the exam. All the schools will require you to send your official academic transcripts and mark sheets from all the schools, all the physical therapy schools that you've attended. So if you have a bachelor's and a master's degree, you will have to send your transcripts and mark sheets from both the programs, not just a bachelor's program. So make sure you have all of those documents ready when you're applying for admissions to different institutions. Another extremely important requirement is having your academic credential evaluation. And this evaluation is basically different from the evaluation that you have to go through to take your physical therapy license exam in the US. What this academic credential evaluation does is, say for example, you have a bachelor's degree in physical therapy and your university states that your degree is equivalent to a bachelor's degree. But the US standards are a little different. Like maybe your education degree is not equivalent to the US bachelor's degree. And that is where the academic credential evaluation comes into the picture. You could apply for an education evaluation through WES, ICT, or Silvergate. What they will do is they will assess all of your educational records and they will tell you if you're equivalent to if your degree, whether it's a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, if it's equivalent to the US degree or not. If it is equivalent, then you're good to go. But just in case it's not equivalent, you may be required to take certain additional courses that could be in your own school back home in your home country, or you could take them at various community colleges here in the US. Another important requirement is letter of recommendations. Your letters of recommendations could come from any professional. It could be your professor, it could be your academic advisor, it could be a supervisor, or even your employer. Letters of recommendations basically talk about why the person who's recommending you thinks that you are a good candidate to pursue this education. Why should the school, it talks about why the professor thinks, in their opinion, why the school should admit you and why they think that you will be a successful student. And last but not the least, you will be required to write an essay, which is a statement of purpose. This statement of purpose basically talks about your educational goals, where you can talk about your long-term and short-term goals and make a case for yourself as to why you should be selected for this program. And the final stage that most of us are the most excited about, I guess. You dreamt of studying in the US and becoming a licensed PT. You finally completed your education, passed with good scores, achieved that dream of earning a higher degree, a degree from the US. So the final step before you can start working is cracking that NPTE. And this is the step that a lot of people are stressed about. And all I want to say is, with the right guidance and with the right preparation, let this not be a hurdle in any way for you to achieve your goal or to pursue your dreams. There are a lot of foreign trained PTs who come from all the different parts of the world and successfully crack the NPTE with the right kind of preparation and the guidance, and are eventually licensed and work in the United States as successful physical therapists. We're going to talk about a few case studies. These are real case studies from actual students that we have worked with who came from different parts of the world and dreamt of being in the US, studying in the US, and eventually working in the US. So the first one is Pooja, who's a candidate she came to the US with a bachelor's degree. She pursued her master's in rehab science in 2015. Her course was about 2 years long and the tuition fee was about $72,000. In addition to that, she spent about $12,000 as a part of her living expenses, and other additional expenses included food, travel, entertainment, and all of that. Because this was a relatively expensive program, she decided to pursue an on-campus job which paid her up to $8 an hour. She helped in groceries, which helped her with her grocery expenses and basic travel expenses. She got her first job at the University of Pittsburgh as a research assistant. It was a full-time 40 hours job. That was basically on an OPT. She then went on to apply for an H-1B visa, which unfortunately got rejected. But she knew that she didn't want to go back home, so she resorted to Plan B and got her student visa extended by applying for an MBA in healthcare, which costed her about another $20,000. The second case study that we're talking about is Manny. She also had a bachelor's in PT degree. But she didn't want to go the clinical route. She decided to pursue a master's in exercise and exercise physiology and sports sciences, which was again a 2-year program and costed her about $42,000. Her living expenses came to around $20,000. I mean, she passed her NPTE on the 3rd attempt. In spite of working so hard, her H-1B did not get picked. So instead of going back home, she decided to apply for a program that offers CPT. And since she was licensed in the US, she decided to pursue a hybrid TDPT program through which she was a student and working at the same time. The additional expense was about another $30,000, but know that because she was also working at the same time, it's relatively easier to pay for it and to finance your education. And last but not the least, we have Sam, who was luckier than all of them. His H-1B got picked in 2019 in the very first attempt, and he started with a starting salary of $68,000. So it's not that students don't get H-1B. It really depends on luck. But if you are determined to pursue your goal, there's nothing that can stand in between you and your goals. It brings me immense pleasure to be here today and to talk about facts. We know that, all of us plan to aim high, and considering that we're living in these unprecedented times, things can get difficult. And like Amreen mentioned, I'm sure a lot of us have second thoughts. But on behalf of the Facts team, I would like to extend my arm and say that, hey, we are here for you. If you have any questions or any concerns, feel free to reach out to us. Pursuing your dreams and journey can definitely be full of a lot of hurdles, but we are here to help in any way possible to make it less daunting and less stressful for you. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to email us at contact@factspt.org. You can also visit our website at www.factspt.org. You will have access to a lot of resources there, such as answers to the most commonly asked questions. And we also have a lot of video resources for you in case you want to learn more about the different processes, whether it's applying for a license, endorsing a license, or just studying in the US in general. And that brings me to the end of my presentation. I'll be taking questions.